Om. Namaste everyone.
ब्रह्मभूत प्रसन्नात्मा न शोचति न काङ्क्षति समः सर्वेषु भूतेषु मद्भक्तिं लभते पराम्. Being Atman or Brahman, serene in the self, he neither grieves nor desires. Same to all beings, he obtains supreme devotion towards the Lord. This is from Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, 54th verse.
When we listen something like this, we think this description is of a person. This description can never be of a person who is equanimous, who is impartial, who has no personal judgment about things. He can still clarify and can know what is happening around, but he has no hate for anyone. And that energy is actually not a person. That energy is Brahman only, Atman only. And this energy is in all of us. Even when we sometimes gossip about someone, we don't like it. We do it because of our strong tendencies or habit or the environment. But at the end of it, we all feel that we should have not done that, A sadhak, a seeker, when they are talking low about someone, though how genuine it might be, that person, let's say, is really bad or corrupt or whatever. But talking about that gives a very bad energy in us, isn't it? Nobody likes it. Because of the only reason we talk like this is our habit, and then people around us are gossiping, or we had some strong dislike towards that person, or someone has done something to us and now he has done other again, and we talk like that. And even before talking, even a thought of that comes, we should nip on the bud, just get rid of it, Even if the people around us say, oh, look, that person is really bad and he has done again bad stuff to you. It is very hard to resist saying something. Because this energy, what Neelakantanji is saying, is not a person. It is just pure energy, which has no interest in all this gossip. More you get into it by sadhana, by satsang, you want to avoid it completely. Though the people around you might look like they all want to help you in their own way to keep your ego alive, but you are dead inside. When we are dead inside, we have no interest in anything which takes away our peace. And so this energy is always impartial. Whether whatever at personal level anyone has done, we don't want to discuss, we don't want to get into it, even not at our thought level. Leave aside talking to someone about it. And this way our peace is always sustained. We are always in that peaceful state, Brahman. And So the body and the work and everything continues as it is, but with least judgment, at least not at a personal level against anything. That is a very low type of energy in which ego lives. Yesterday I was talking to someone, not sure he has joined today, but yeah, we were just talking, and he was telling me that even in very young age I hate this type of doership and doing and individuality, and I always wanted to get rid of it, not through any religion, not through any spiritual following, but it was just an inner call, you can say, or feeling. And I think the way Greg was talking to me, I think a lot of people can agree with that understanding, you know. Maybe if he's here, he can speak more about it. I'm not sure. But any seeker understands this very clearly, you know, what I'm talking about. And so, this is the reason that we get vairagya or dispassion so much, so that the solitude is bliss, just on our own. Or we look for a company in which we are engaged in that divine energy, whether it is a talk on that, a reading, meditating on it, just a company of people. We say like-minded people. Here it is no-minded people. So people who are no-minded love that energy together in a way. More you're drawn into it, less you want any disturbance in that. So disturbance only comes not in form of any external situation. It comes always in form of thoughts. External situation is repulsive or conducive. Only mind decides in form of thoughts. When we are in our elated bliss, whatever the weather, it doesn't matter, we are in our peace. And even in the best weather, if our mind is disturbed, we don't like it. We are in depression or anxiety or in panic state. More and more you absorb in this divine energy within, less and less you want to use your mind, thoughts. So much so that most of the things you just accept whatever they are happening. Because the moment you go out about anything to correct at the ego level, there's loss of peace. And we get so much accustomed to this peace that we don't want to lose for any reason in any situation, for anything or being. If someone wants to come, come. Someone wants to go, go. We are not holding on to anything. And this is very important to understand, that once you have felt or tasted this pure energy, you don't want to disturb it. Mind is nothing but disturbance. Once we have tasted it fully, embraced it, mind also loves that peace. When our old tendencies, our likes, dislikes wants to pick up a thing to sort out with resistance, even the mind thinks it's a big task. Why should I go out from this peaceful space? Longer you stay in this inner solitude, more difficult is to come out for anything. Same thing happened in case of Bhagavan also. He went so deep into it that he stopped talking, no desire even to talk for anything. It's not that when he started talking that peace was less in any way. But there was no need felt to talk even. Our inner health depends on how comfortable we are in solitude. Everyone should check that. Stay for a couple of days without any gadgets, without any news, without any person, without any task. See if you stay in your bliss, in your confined space. Sometimes it's the trick of the mind to go to satsang, to meet people, to socialize, and in the name of even spirituality or seeking or whatever. Keep going out and attending pilgrimage and all those things and keeping yourself busy. But give a chance to just sit on your own every day. Spend time even not doing self-inquiry, just be there. The more we start noticing this bliss in solitude, more we get into it. This energy is pure intelligence. Start trusting it. We have put all our trust into mind, in thoughts. Understand, mind can give you things. Don't take me wrong. And those thoughts can help you or cause suffering or whatever. But it is all conditioned. This conditioned state gives rise to thoughts. And that freedom, that free state, that blissful state is pure intelligence. It can give rise to anything. It is coming from unconditioned source, which can produce anything, which can do anything. It has infinite possibilities. In a finite mind, there are finite possibilities. So that's why the mind and ego is so suffocating. There's less breathing space in it. That is why we call this as freedom or liberation. Because it is liberating, it is very liberating. It feels as if the whole weight is not of the body but of ego. Ego gone, we feel egoless. Emptiness. So many mystics call it emptiness. But this emptiness is full of love. Empty of thoughts, empty of mind. but full of love, full of bliss, full of that unknown which nothing of this world can compare. You can't call it experience also, because it is you, whatever it is. With our interest, when we start feeling it within us, then we are just floating in this energy all the time. It is like a complete surrender. It does what it has to do. But inner stillness never goes away. Because identification with that energy takes away identification with the body. And body's identification is only with ego, with I thought. Somehow that I thought merges in that energy. If you see, apart from human beings, everything is floating in that energy. Early morning, birds rises at the same time. They go out of their nest or the trees and they look for food, and then evening they come back. Everything moves as the sun rises. We can be in harmony with the whole energy which is doing all this, and we can also surrender and just float in that energy. Getting up in morning and, just like everything is happening spontaneously. Giving up individuality actually gives rise to a new dimension of life in which we are in harmony with each and everything, including this body. And in this energy we are connected with everything. Living, non-living, plants, animals, birds, atmosphere, weather, everything. And then we realize that everything is moving in harmony the way it has to. Even the physical spaces in this world are moving in that energy, and depending on the karmic debt of that energy, there can be wars, there can be peace, there can be love. Whatever is happening is just happening in that. Tap into this pure divine energy which is here right now for all of us. Identify it as your own inner silence, unchanging. In this silence, it appears as everything has stopped There's a complete halt, no movement. As if the mind has found its source. This is the best way to find this space within you. Where the egoic identity has dissolved, where the mind is still, where there is no doership. And with every act what is happening, there is no personal agenda or person in it. Here we are not looking for next movement or some activity. But yes, intense activity continues. Sometimes even more, sometimes a different realm. But who is doing it? How it happens? It happens in that divine energy, everything. Even when we are at the ego level, still that energy is doing everything. But that selfish ego starts taking pride in all doings. It's like it takes hold of that small energy capsule within the body, as I thought, and start behaving as it is separate. It has created its own separate island apart from the divine. And the moment that I thought sprouts, our doors are closed for that energy completely. And when that door opens, we are unconscious in our deep sleep. And so the only way left is come back to the source. Give up your personal identity in form of your doership as a person, as an individual existence. The body would still be there, a language and some learning and some relative knowledge and a job and all those things might all be there. But internally, the operator has disappeared now, the individual operator. It is all our internal which matters. Bhagavan used to give an example about an elephant having a big seed or something, and it goes through the system and comes out and it looks like he has not eaten. But if you open the inside, fruit is all being eaten, but it looks like there's nothing has happened. So this is like a deathless death of this body. Body stays, but the inner, whatever you call as Jiva or soul, which has separate existence, that separate existence finishes. For the separate existence to finish, that separate energy has to agree to get merged in that infinite divine energy. This agreement has to be there internally. That's all. Some people think a lot of courage is needed. Only grace is needed. Kripa is needed of the Lord who makes you one with Him. In Arunachala Puranam, Nandi declares that if you keep your devotion to Arunachala, then it devours you and it changes you into the Shiva's form. You merge into the Shiva's form. Nandi declares, that's what it says in Arunachala Puranam. Nandi, what is Nandi? Nandi is the one who is always attention there. So Nandi is never separate. It looks like separate, but Nandi is Shiva only. The one who is always facing Shiva. How can it stay Nandi? Tell me. It is Shiva only. So Nandi declares. So Nandi has power to declare. That's what I'm saying, that it's not Shiva's declaration, it's Nandi's declaration. That if your attention is there, you merge in that absolute Sadasiva. You become one. Same attention which is for objects and things and situations and whatever outside is making us a person. Same attention on Shiva within will change the whole course of our life. We talk about efforts. Efforts are only needed initially, but then it becomes effortless. Once you identify, then what effort is needed? Once you know it, then it's all done. If you go into this external world, you pick up any book or discussion, people are talking crazy about what is God, there is no God, this is that and this. And they are never practicing it. Rather than arguing, discussing, making theories, concepts, belief systems, religious paths, if you just sit in solitude and pay attention to that beingness in us, it just manifests. It is there. You start recognizing from the eyes of wisdom. Then with each breath you see only that. But your identification with breath also drops. Your identification is only with that stillness in which breath is coming and going, and that pause becomes like everything. That is why if you see in yoga, the most important thing, as Bhagavan also said, is that between the breath, in-breath and out-breath, that pause is there, stillness. The whole life force, the prana that comes to that stillness and goes back from stillness, comes to that and comes. Everything touches the source, comes to the source. Even breath comes there to the source and then goes out and comes back and goes out. Even the seat of ego, they say, when then they talk about the Anandamaya Kosha, blissful sheath, and it's actually seat of ignorance. And it is seat of ignorance because the ego also sits there. The moment the ego gone, then that is actually Anandamay. Everything is Anandamay. Like Nandi is always facing Shiva, this Nandi, this ego Nandi, has to face that only all the time, keeping our attention on that pure divine energy. That is all needed. You move in that, you eat in that, you talk in that, you work in that, you sleep in that, you dream in that, and then you come back and then just continues. Everything continues in it. And when nothing continues, that actually is always there. This external movement of the body and mind is all external within that domain of that infinite awareness. Whether it stays or whether it goes, that energy is least bothered. It is impartial to everything. When we merge in that energy, our association with our body or other bodies becomes equal, except that one body you have to feed, you have to use to talk, but there is no personal relationship left. Exactly like a sannyasi who has left home and now is a sannyasi. If his family comes and meets him, for him they are equal to any stranger or as close than any other stranger. This is something to experience. Sometimes people think that a jnani puts a hand on someone, gives some blessing, and that person gets cured. Or this intention for anything can only come as a person in an ego mode only. If a jnani start claiming that I have cured someone or I have done a miracle, then he is an ajnani only. Because there is no person. Look, miracles might happen, could happen in that energy, but there is no one to claim that I did it. Bhagavan was so shy of anything happening around him which was like a miracle. Sometimes he will say no and sometimes he will just keep quiet, but never say yes. Because there was no person living there in that body. It was pure Brahman. Same Brahman in us, same Brahman in him. But we don't know and he knew it. He was working from there all his life. Bhagavan was self-realized at the age of 16 at his house without any sadhana, without any effort. And after coming to Tiruvannamalai, he didn't do any sadhana. He didn't do any tapas. He was in that bliss, that's all. Nowadays, there are so many YouTube channels and so many speakers who always talk nonsense, saying that he, as a young boy, came to Tirunamalai, then he did a lot of tapas, and then he got enlightenment. All crazy, and not one channel, not one person talking. Look, I'm not anyone to say anything about these people, who they talk. But I'm just trying to explain that what Bhagavan is. That Bhagavan came only in this dream world to tell us to be here. That's all. It was not 1950. Whenever it happened for us right now. It's happening. He is still. That living presence is there right now, which is leading this satsang. No individual is leading it, or no individual is arranging it. That energy is arranging it. Understand this truth. He has never gone anywhere. He is in all of us, that energy, that Shiva. You just pay attention there, and you have interest in that, and have some humbleness, some humility, some respect for that energy. That's all. Openness for it. Not a skeptical mind. That's what we have to drop. And if you are emotional, put your emotions into it. But be there only. Use your all might, all power to be there only. If you lose some money, lose some people, lose things, let it be. You just stay here. If this is our only desire, or you can say last desire, or only desire, you will know it. There's nothing else apart from it. Once known this energy, discard all thoughts. Don't choose any thought. Just choose silence within. Let that silence do everything for you. But then, when you are in that silence, then there is nothing which you want actually to be sorted out. All the time we think, who will pay my mortgage, how the job will be done, how the relationship will be maintained. Who thinks like that? Only ego. Come back to Bhagavan's example of sitting in a moving train and keeping your luggage on your head, thinking that you are carrying it, while the Lord of the world is carrying the whole luggage. Why we should bother? We all have experienced that with the best intention and best efforts, sometimes what we want to achieve or desire, we don't get it. And other times, without interest also, sometimes things comes to us. So the best course of action is to follow Bhagavan's advice on prarabdha karmas leading to destiny, in which everything is predestined. Don't argue whether it is right or wrong, because if you believe in it, you will be happy. That's all. And if ultimately that matters. to be in that eternal happiness. Whether Santa Claus is real or not, who cares if you get gift every Christmas and you're happy? Understand the subtlety of the truth in everything. Everything what Bhagavan has taught. Everything is for our benefit. If you take it with faith and trust, it will help you. Help you to an extent and so fast that everything will melt away in it. This false ego-constructed life will just finish off. And you will be floating in this infinite awareness of pure self. Because ego can never know that. Ego has to deconstruct by some method, by some grace. And then what is left is that only. Then nobody can claim like Bhagavan is more Shiva and someone else is less Shiva, or someone has more energy and this has. It is just same. There is no difference. Yes, devotees can speak like that because everyone has that ego for their own guru or a teacher and they think he is topmost or number one. But that energy is impartial, equal. It's like sun is shining everywhere equally. Once you know it, it is that only. Whether Ram has found or Krishna has found or you have found, no difference. Or Jesus has found. But the devotee of Jesus, after finding, also can say, look, Jesus knows more than me. And that is humbleness and, respect to Guru. But actually that energy is same. If the energy also can be compared, then there is a hierarchy. Wherever there is a hierarchy, there you have not reached the absolute. If you have not reached the absolute, if absolute also has hierarchy, then how can it be absolute? It is all equal. People used to come to Bhagavan about similar questions. They used to raise that there are categories written in some Vedanta books that someone is this and someone is. And Bhagavan said, no, it's all equal. These differences are only in appearances. Differences are only in the egoistic mind. Outside that, it is all the same. We might be different in our strength, bodily strength, our height, our color, our relative knowledge about things. But when it comes to Brahman, Brahman is same. Once you know it, you merge in it. It is the same, equal in everyone. Only difference is some know and some don't know. Some who don't know and wants to know are known as seekers. And those seekers who know, they are called as jnanis. But there is no difference between a seeker and a jnani. Every jnani was a seeker at some stage. And every seeker will be a jnani at some stage. So there is no difference in that. So there is nothing to proud of that you know or someone still doesn't know. It's not a race. That energy is purely spreading in that person equally. Though at this stage he is more interested in this drama unfolding around, which we call it ignorance. But that's okay. Not a big deal. This time and space domain only looks time, but it is all illusory time, in which we talk about millions of years and billions of years. If you go into Ajatvad, everything is spontaneously comes and spontaneously goes. When there is no observer, there is nothing. Observer is of the prime importance. Without observer, there is nothing happening. Because the show stops, there is nothing there. And this is also known in scientific experiments now, that it is only the game of observer, witness. We are that witness. Nobody can make us disappear, not even death. Nothing. We are all eternal. They say Amritasya Putra, father of immortality. Know this truth within you. Make new relationship with this divine energy and give up your old relationship with mind. Whenever you read any scripture, Bhagavad Gita, or wherever they explain what is this energy, how it behaves, how it interacts, what is its presence, always contemplate it is talking about your real self, you. And cherish that information. Know that they are talking about you. When they talk about Brahman, they talk about Shiva, they talk about God, they talk about all that attributeless, that pure energy. But it also has its own love and bliss, ananda, impartiality, no liking. Incorporate those things in you. Behave from there. Be with that. Acknowledge that it is you. Then whatever is not that of those characteristics, just discard it. Then you will start noticing there is such a big difference between you as true you and then what bodily functions and things and mind, and it looks so different. This way also you can enter into the energy by just deeply contemplating. Reading Ribu Gita, reading again and again, The whole book is just repetition of the same thing, hundreds of pages. With each, you should feel that your bodily hair are raised and you are just in that bliss. You feel so much energized just reading that you can't even finish one page of it, because it's all about you, as if it's written to awaken you from your ignorance. All religions, all scriptures, everything sings glory of whom? You. It's your own glory. Accept it wholeheartedly. Pick up any religion or any book or any path. That ultimate is you only. The separate God is only creation of ego. Ego gone, that separate God merges in you as you only. This devotee dissolves, and then what is left is that only. This path of devotion, being a devotee, it is just to merge in that energy, nothing else. There was declaration by Shiva when someone asked that the whole world is your devotee. Who are you looking for? He said, I am the devotee of devotees. It is that mutual, that is just one energy. Everything is just play of energy, nothing else. When the eye of wisdom is open, our attention is always there, all the time. The external eyes are seeing things, but they are just seeing but not taking anything from there. All you get, what you want, is from that energy which you are. So the seeking ends in things. We all know we go for things to get some pleasure, to get some fun, entertainment, happiness. But when we know with our wisdom that I am that bliss, and you're full of that bliss all the time, then all the seeking ends. No act is blissful. The act becomes blissful because your mind thinks it is blissful act, and you feel blissful. But that bliss is all within us, as that pure awareness. Stay there all the time. This is the only purpose of human birth, nothing else. If you had a long list of desires at some stage in your life and unfulfilled, be happy that you are still not wasting time. Bring your energy here in your heart. Blessed are those ones, I believe, who have no worldly commitments and they can put all energy there. It is full grace. I know the egoistic mind thinks that if I'm busy, I'm earning, I'm doing things, I'm doing something good to the society and I'm productive, all this. Again, come back to the same. If it is prarabdha, it is happening, no personal credit to anything. Pick up some pointers from teachings, make that as your own truth all the time, and that will keep you grounded and in that energy. And most important is give up this doership. This is the way we always think and talk. I have to do this, now I have to do this, now I have to do this, now what this and this and this. When this I is being scrutinized and taken away, you can't speak anything. There's nothing to speak also. More we experience this silence within us and this divine energy unfolds. Even in body you feel a vibratory energy all the time. May all who wants to know this pure energy get merged in this pure energy. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Arunachal Ramanaya Om. Om Shanti Shanti. Thank you everyone. Thank you.